Although INFJs are the rarest Myers-Briggs personality type, they're perhaps the most loved thanks to their kind, compassionate nature. They're balanced, well-functioning people who live highly organized lives. They love a sense of structure and prefer orchestrating processes that help them manage their lives efficiently. However, if you ever meet an INFJ who's cold, distant, and seems unusually consumed with their thoughts as if they have lost their mind, then it's likely they're going through a NET loop. Keep watching to know everything about the NET loop and how it can make them lose their minds. The NET loop explained. Sometimes INFJs may go through uncharacteristic bouts of irrational and impulsive behavior and thought patterns, especially if they're stuck in a NET loop. D refers to introverted intuition and T refers to introverted thinking. And in the NET loop, these two functions malfunction, creating a loop in their mind. As a result, their thoughts get jumbled up and their mind becomes chaotic, trapping them in an endless cycle of overanalysis. Also referred to as analysis paralysis, this loop can cause INFJs to feel detached from reality. Looping can be understood better when we dive into the unique way an INFJ brain is believed to be wired. The entire MBTI theory relies on cognitive functions to categorize people into different personality types. Cognition is a process through which information is acquired, perceived, and decisions made. The way these processes are stacked is used to determine people's preferences as well as their instinctive behavioral mechanisms. The MBTI theory outlines four primary cognitive functions. The dominant function is introverted intuition or NI, the auxiliary function is extroverted sensing or PHI, the tertiary function is introverted thinking or T, and the inferior function is extroverted sensing or C. These cognitive functions ideally work in perfect harmony with one another and help a person stay mentally healthy. When INFJs bypasses either their extroverted or introverted functions, they're at high risk of getting stuck in the loop, and their mind enters a state of imbalance. While this can happen in a combination of different functions depending on the person, life experience, and situation, the most common imbalance in INFJs is the NET loop. In the situation, instead of a healthy balance of introverted and extroverted functions, they become stuck in their introverted processes, which traps them in their own mind with no escape. INFJ cognitive functions in a NET loop. INFJs in a NET loop bypass their extroverted traits like extroverted feeling and extroverted sensing, which means that they lose the connection with their senses and their ability to make decisions. Their intuition doesn't have any outer world balance, which makes their perceptions bizarre and outlandish. This impersonal and impractical data is then fed into their thinking function, hence creating a cycle of perception and logical analysis that's super detached from reality. In some cases, INFJs stuck in this loop may tend to become eccentric, harsh critics, or even conspiracy theorists, which is highly unlike a practical, healthy INFJ. The reason why INFJs get stuck in a NET loop is that their mind's protective mechanism tries to defend itself from troubling events or surroundings. Those who fall into the treacherous cycle are likely to have been abused in some way or the other or hurt by someone whom they loved and trusted. Apart from those trying to protect themselves, even those who are highly sensitive or more susceptible to overstimulation may also find themselves susceptible to falling in this loop to avoid being overwhelmed or stressed. In addition, younger INFJs may not have had many opportunities to interact with the outside world or have grown up sheltered may also be prone to falling in the NET loop. This happens because they would not have developed the right skills to function in a world outside their own. The scary part is that INFJs stuck in this loop can logically justify their actions, which can lead to uncharacteristic behavior. Behavior of INFJs stuck in the NET loop. Inability to make decisions. INFJs in the loop can really struggle to make decisions. Being stuck in their mind means there will be endless things for them to consider and too many perspectives to look at. This preoccupation with their internal functions can therefore prevent them from taking action. For instance, simple things like deciding what to eat from the menu could take them to exhaustive lengths of planning that. In the end, they resign themselves to not eating out or ordering in at all. Although analyzing and planning can be good, a lot can be done when it comes to deciding relatively unimportant things such as where to eat or what to wear. While in a loop, an INFJ's otherwise healthy tendencies for perfectionism will go into overdrive and extend to all aspects of their life. This can really prevent them from accomplishing things and completing normal day-to-day projects and tasks. INFJs are natural idealists and daydreamers. This can be an extraordinary gift as it allows them to think outside the box. INFJs are usually incredibly creative people due to this. However, when in a loop, they lose touch with the external functions that keep them tethered to the real world. This only disconnects them from their immediate surroundings. They will acknowledge their real life less and less as they disappear more into their elaborate rich fantasy lives, where they can create full-fledged interactions, conversations, and events that haven't happened, and eventually they may become so delirious that they begin to question which world is more real. Irrational thoughts and behavior. INFJs in a NEAT loop use their thinking function disproportionately, which can make them ruminate on their thoughts, especially the negative ones. They may begin to overanalyze minute details in their own lives, such as how they interact with people. Without the support of their extroverted feeling or fee function, they find it hard to comprehend the feelings of others accurately, hence perceiving things in their relationships that are not even real. For instance, they may misread their partner's comments as harsh and rude, even if this isn't the case, or they may overread their friend not replying to their texts and begin thinking that they said or did something wrong. These inaccurate interpretations send them in a spiral over analysis where they read more into things that don't even exist. In turn, they might overact, lash out, or completely withdraw. Whatever the case, it is likely to damage their relationship significantly since nobody, including them, can understand the disconnect. Lack of empathy or compassion. INFJs who have lost their minds can come off as heartless and cold, since their extroverted feeling function reigns supreme when they make judgments. As a result, they begin to examine things from a subjective, irrational perspective, and this can be detached from reality. It can also be thought of as a defense mechanism that kicks in when they feel powerless against the world outside. Retreating into the cocoon of the NEAT loop protects them from making judgments based on feeling that can result in an uncomfortable truth being revealed, thereby hurting the feelings of someone they love. As per their logic, taking on a detached perspective can help them rationalize their judgments in an entirely non-personal manner, which is why it can come across as cold. Isolation. INFJs are naturally drawn to solitude and quick to recharge after interactions. In moderation, this isn't a bad thing, but those in a loop can take it too far. They can become solitary hermits and retreat into permanent reflection or circular analysis. The need for absolute isolation is triggered when an INFJ has been betrayed or let down one too many times. It could also mean that the ideals and values they greatly treasure have been proved wrong or overturned in a significant way, and so they resolve to shield themselves from the futility of the outside world. By withdrawing completely, they're subconsciously trying to insulate their values and ideals from further damage. They also stop reaching out to people in their lives, not only because they have been wrong, but they feel an urgent need to retreat and protect the worldview that makes them who they are. Their thinking function will then seek to rationalize from this place of protection. However, some things just cannot be rationalized, no matter how hard or long anyone tries. Therefore, the more time that passes in this ruminating isolation, the more detached and at a loss from reality an INFJ in a loop can become. For an INFJ in a loop, the answer to why they lose their minds is not as clear-cut as it seems. This has by no means been an exhaustive list of what can happen in a NEAT loop. However, if you're an INFJ who has resonated or know an INFJ who has gone through these stages or who feels out of sorts in general, there's a likelihood an imbalance in cognitive functions is to blame. The longer an INFJ stays in the NEAT loop, the harder it can become to hop out of it. But all is not lost. Just like muscle memory, the more a cognitive function is used, the stronger it becomes. To rebalance their mental processes, INFJs must consciously exercise their weaker extroverted feeling. Are you an INFJ who has been through the NEAT loop? What was your experience like? Comment below. As always, like and share this video and subscribe to our channel for more updates on psychology.